Hi, today we're going to talk about short-term rental in Louisville, Kentucky. I am Matt Gatewood, principal broker of Gatewood Properties in Kentucky, and today we're going to talk about short-term rental. So welcome to the advanced class, the real estate advanced class right away. So I'm going to put a quick disclaimer on it and say that this is according to the rules as of November 2022. And the reason I bring that up is that I've seen a lot of rules change throughout time for short-term rental. What am I talking about when I say short-term rental? What I'm talking about is Airbnb, VRBO, vacation rental by owner type properties where you're only renting for a shorter period. We're not talking about 12-month lease agreements. We're talking about I'm renting my property out for a night, 2 nights, a week, whatever that might be, and it's a constant change of who that is. You could even have somebody's in there for maybe a month or so with it, but we're talking on the short-term rental things, usually through some of the Airbnb, VRBO type websites for that. So why is this important? Why are we talking about this at all? Well, short-term rental has become more popular nationally over the last several years, and a lot of cities have kind of made rules, parameters around different things you can do, and it's different depending on where you are in the country. And Louisville has a lot of rules for them. So, I make this video and to talk about it to try to help you through the process. Hopefully you're not watching this and you already own one. This is more of like, hey, here's the things to look out for if you're thinking about purchasing one, or what to know about the process itself. The reason it's so important is because there's some really hefty fees that can be set if you don't follow the rules. And even worse, if you purchase a property and you find out you can't actually get a short-term rental conditional use permit. We'll talk a little bit about CUPs in a second. In terms of like how big of fees am I talking about? You're talking about $125, $250, $500, $1,000, and that's per occurrence, and each occurrence could be per day. So if you're not approved by the city, they could say, here's $125, here's $250, $500, $1,000, and that's per property per day, right? So it's pretty important that you are registered with the city and you're all set with it. As well, there are also additional advertising fees that they can shut you down on and charge you additional on that. So bottom line, we're looking at this from a money perspective of making sure you're in compliance. So let's talk about if you're owner occupied versus non-owner occupied. So if you're owner occupied property, meaning you own it, it is where you are, it's where you live. It is a little bit easier. And we'll find a lot of people in the city do that for, like, say, Derby, a Louder Than Life concert series, different events that'll come to town. They'll rent out their houses to people on Airbnb or VRBO and have someone come in and stay in their own personal residence. And a lot of times people, what they'll do around here is they'll just maybe go to the lake or somewhere else on vacation, take the money from it, and go do something else. There is an exception to it though, and that is if you're in the old Louisville or the Limerick neighborhoods, you still have to have a conditional use permit, even if it's your primary residence. So that's something, we'll get in more detail about CUPs here in a second, but that's something to be aware of. Even if it's your primary residence, you still have to have a CUP in those situations. The other situations, like I said, people rent out for special events. One thing to know, and I recommend talk to a tax professional on this, is that there's been an exception 4 times a year if you rent out your primary residence that you don't have to do like all the taxes associated with it. So I'm talking about like the local taxes, but definitely recommend talking to your accountant, tax professional to make that for sure. So that's the owner occupied. What we're really looking at is non-owner occupied, especially what I read into from real estate perspective. Can this qualify? Can we do this? I'm looking to do this as a short-term rental versus, long-term rental. Like what's my economics on this thing? Well, you have to be registered with it, but you also have to qualify for it. An exception is, and it's still, you need to get a double check, but a lot of times commercial properties are exempt from this. But a lot of times we're looking at is any of the residential zoning is, can you do a non-owner occupied? So it's not your house. It's an investment property that you've purchased and you want to rent it out. Well, you have to get what I've been referring to as the conditional use permit, or CUPs, as we talk about. That is a 4 to 6 month process. It has a caseworker to it. There is a notification that goes out to your neighbors of that property, and there is a neighborhood meeting you have to do and record, and as well there is a BOZA, your BOZA, their local board you have to present to them to say basically how are you going to manage this property as well. Kind of along those qualifications too of all that, that's even, you want to really check out is just this 600-foot rule is something that's been added. And what that means is you can't have two non-owner occupied Airbnb properties within 600 feet of each other. There's a map actually through the city that you can search an address and see, is this automatically not eligible because there's another one within 600 feet of it, door to door on that. So that's something to look out for with it. And people ask sometimes, do CUPs get denied? Yes, they can, depending on circumstances. But I'm always happy to talk through more details on that. But in terms of like, if you're looking for something that's not owner occupied, you're like, hey, I want to purchase something. That's where it's really important to talk to me as a real estate professional and figure out like, can I do it in the first place? And a lot of times we just point to that website. Is it within 600 feet? Okay, it's not. Is this a viable option? Is this, whatever I'm going to purchase for the property? Can we run some analytics on it and see, is it even going to be a good property to do? And even ask the question, do you want to do short-term rental versus long-term rental? If you're brand new to it. If you're experienced with it, you kind of already know the game. You may be looking for economies of scale and some other things like that. You're still within the Louisville market. Just got to make sure we follow the rules to make sure you're in compliance. Because like I said, it's expensive if you don't. Another little quick side note regarding the expense is there is an annual fee of $100 that you have to pay as well. In Jefferson County, county seat, for Louisville, does also have additional occupational fees that they tack on, and a lot of places like Airbnb already kind of roll that in when you register with them for it. But it's something to be aware of because it could, you got to look at what your rate is going to be for renting. The clients coming in from a supply and demand perspective on that. So the bottom line to all of it is it's definitely something you want to do a lot of due diligence on. The good news is that I even talk about personally is that I've been through the process. I've had a short-term rental that we had ended up selling for not because it wasn't making money, but for personal business reason. But anyways, I've personally been through the process. I've been through the neighborhood meetings, BOZA, all that good stuff, right? Like I've done that as well. Worked with clients to help them get short-term rental properties. So pretty aware of the process with it and try to keep up. Like I said, these are the rules as November 2022. They always, not always, but they sometimes may have some changes. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Happy to talk through this. Enjoy talking through this type of process for this type of property. So far you have passed the advanced class of listening in about short-term rentals and things to be aware of. Again, Matt Gatewood, principal broker, Gatewood Privacy of Kentucky. If you like it, subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Thanks, and we'll catch you on the next one.